Take a little trip with me, I'm gonna take you home.
Take a little history
Take a little
down this lane of memories.
down this lane.
So let's raise another glass for the glorious past and the friends we have become. Yeah. 'Cause little did we know the good times come and go, but the best is yet to come.
Hello and welcome to a very special interview for The Wire. My guest today is the Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amarinder Singh. In part 1, I shall talk to him about his attempts to contain the virus in Punjab and the steps he's taking to ameliorate the lockdown. But in part 2, I want to raise with him important concerns of national issues on which, as Chief Minister of Punjab, he has some very important things to say. Chief Minister, let's start with the fight to contain the coronavirus before we come to other issues. The Ministry of Health in Delhi says that as of 9 o'clock this morning, Punjab has 1,731 cases, 29 deaths, which means that you are 9th and 11th respectively on the tally of states. But the worry is that your testing per million is below the national average and your doubling rate is a very worrying 3 days. So is the fight against the virus getting more difficult, or do you still see light at the end of the tunnel?
No, you must remember Punjab is a small place. And the number of people who have come into Punjab, let me start with the first one. This was in March. We had 135,000 people, 135,000 who came in from 3 airports at Amritsar, Mohali and at Palam, and came to Punjab. This was just at the beginning of the start of the COVID. And we started getting, these are mainly from the Doaba belt, the northern belt. And we got a case in Nawashehar, we got cases in Rajpur. The Nawashehar man who unfortunately got it died, but he left behind a number of people who we had to quarantine and get them out. Luckily, none of them died. But one was this 135 who came from Europe and other countries where this was happening. Second, we got about 1,000 people who came from Nizamuddin, and they did a major damage to us in the southern Punjab, which was Mansa, Sangrur, Patiala, that region, where there's a large Muslim population. So that happened. And the third one is now we've got them from Maharashtra. Over 4,000 came from Maharashtra in the last 10 days. And we had and after testing, 905 of them have tested positive. So it's not ingrown. What is happening is not happening here. Here we got everything. The growth in Punjab is somewhere between 7 and 12 a day of the locals. But what has come from outside, and it's going to go up further, because let me tell you what's happening. We have received information from the Ministry of External Affairs that we expect 8,000 in the next few days who are coming from overseas. There are 9,000 people from the other states of the country who want to come into Punjab over the next few days. And we expect that overseas and people coming from Punjab will be over 40,000 in the next month or so. So there you are. They come, they are checked. Some of them immediately, in fact, all of them are put into home quarantine. Some are negative in their initial tests, but after a week or so, they turn positive. So these are the things that are adding to our problems because of these people coming from overseas and other states of the country. Here, we were pretty good when we were the lowest, in fact, when it started off. And it's just this influx which has brought it up.
In which case, let me ask you this, Chief Minister. At the moment, according to the Health Ministry, you have 3 red districts, 4 green and 15 orange. A new color mapping is going to happen in the next day or two. With this influx of outsiders coming in and with the impact of Nanded in particular, are you worried that some of your oranges could turn red and some of your greens could turn orange?
Firstly, I don't agree with this, the policy of red, green and yellow and orange. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, take Patiala. You've got a pin there saying this is a red district, Patiala. But Patiala town has a little bit of COVID, and so does Rajpur town. But the other 3 towns of Patiala, Naba, Samana and Shotrana do not have even one case. Why do you include them in this? The reason is because they don't know the ground realities of the state, which only the states know. And somebody sitting in Delhi is deciding all this, some joint secretary in some office, as to what is it. He only knows Patiala. He doesn't know that Patiala has major towns in it, and many towns are not covered by this. So that is the sort of why we are going in that way. But as far as orange turning to green or green turning to orange or something going red, one cannot say. I do not know when these people come, how many people are going to be infected. I've told any Punjabi who wishes to come, it's his home, he can come. But taking care of them is my job. And we are trying to make sure that all of them go through quarantine. If they don't have it, they will go to quarantine. If they've got it, they go to isolation wards. That is what we are trying to do.
You said two very important things that Chief Minister. Have you made clear to the Prime Minister that you have serious problems with this color mapping? That joint secretaries sitting in Delhi who, as your example said, don't understand the ground realities of Patiala have still declared Patiala district a red zone. Have you communicated to the central government that you have serious problems with this?
I have. I've written a letter. I've told them. And I've told them also that, it's not Patiala. I've only given an example. This is the whole of my state. Now take do I know? I've been 50 years in politics. Do I know more or a joint secretary sitting in an office in Delhi? That's one. My entire cabinet is from the state. They know everything about their own areas, their own districts. All my officers, from the chief secretary downwards, are from Punjab. They know everything about us. How can a joint secretary there sitting and just dashing off notes and telling us what to do and all? We are the people who know. What the Prime Minister should be doing is telling us, your chief ministers, look after your states, and you want any help from me, ask for it. I'll help you. But that's not happening. They are just telling us what to do. And being a national disaster, we have to go by what the directives of the GOI are. Had it not been a national disaster, it would have been in our hands. But now every comma, every full stop is dictated by Delhi.
The second thing you said is that you're expecting something like 40,000 people from outside coming to Punjab. These are returning Punjabis, whether from other parts of the country or whether from the Middle East. That suggests to me that you do believe that there will be further spikes in terms of cases and perhaps even more worrying doubling figures because new infections coming in.
Absolutely, because if they come, and those of course who are quarantined, though they say on the paper it's written everyone will go through this test and that test and the other test. Well, I was the Nanded people who came. Three of them, all of them had gone through three tests, and when they came here, 905 are positive. All of them which came with the Maharashtrian tests were negative. So the whole system is, I don't know how it operates in other states, but we are very conscious of this and we do it very strictly. And this is what is happening here. Now I am worried that these 40,000 that are coming, how many of them, when they are tested, today you may be negative, but today you may have picked up the bug, which shows only between 5 and 7 days after. So at the airport, they may be negative. What happens when they come home? And they will go to we will, of course, all these 40,000 incidentally will go for home quarantine, which will be looked after by unless they are positive, then they'll go to the hospitals, looked after by our medical teams, which go and visit them.
But the important thing you're saying is that the sense of security that you're given when you're told that these people have been tested actually is false or at least misleading, because many of them, as the Nanded example proves, came allegedly completely free of the virus, and 900 out of 4,000 then developed it when they were in Punjab.
Correct.
In which case,
whether that or whether the tests were wrong.
Or whether the tests were wrong, there's a possibility that the tests may have been wrong.
Yes.
That is an even more worrying possibility, because that suggests that the entire system is not predicated on a reliable test.
Well, this is my fear, that these people are coming from, there are 88 countries which are wanting to send people back, people want to come from. Now, they may be in Gabon or some other place like that. And we've written to them that these sort of tests must be done and these certificates have to be carried. Now, I don't believe that a person in some obscure little place, country, somewhere in the world will give a genuine report or his test will be genuine. And that is going to worry me. Maybe in Switzerland they'll do it, maybe in Germany they'll do it, maybe they'll do it in some other countries. But what about the little countries all over the world who are sending people, Indians coming back from there? That is the worry.
In which case, given that you face the prospect of 40,000 people coming to your state, many of whom may have certificates to say they are free, but those could be misleading or false or unreliable, are you in favor of extending the lockdown beyond May the 17th?
That, of course, will depend when so far, The 17th is just around the corner, actually, with just a few more days. So far, it's on the spike is there. We can't at the moment cut down on that thing. I think we'll have to take a call a couple of days before. I don't take that call. That call is taken by a team of senior doctors, which we have a team of 3 doctors, our Vice Chancellor of the Medical University, Dr. Talwar, who was head of the PGI, and also Dr. Rajesh Kumar, who is the head of the community medicine, which deals with COVID, of the PGI, who is retired. So that team, under a senior IS officer, they are the team that monitors on a day-to-day basis, and we'll take their advice. One, because before this, we had set up a 20-member team to go into all the aspects of how to get out of the lockdown. And one of the issues they suggested to us was opening it up for a few hours a day, which we are doing already. But they never mentioned that. They said you have to see how the situation develops. And that is what's going to happen. Let's see how it develops in the next few days. Are these spikes there because of people coming from overseas? Or are these spikes really literally developing here? If they are developing here, we have to maintain the social contacting and maybe have to extend it. But as I said, we'll have to wait for that medical report to come in.
You're saying very clearly that you have to wait for the team and to give you its advice. Only then will the call be taken, and it will be taken a lot closer to May the 17th. But would I be mistaken if I say I get the impression there is a reasonably good chance you may want to extend the lockdown, or at least not relax it as much as anywhere else, because you don't want to take the risk of either the 40,000 spreading infection or local spikes doing it?
No, it's not a question of I don't want to take the risk. The question is you have to balance the issues involved. Now, my economy is in shambles. My industry, I have 252,000 industrial units in Punjab. And before we opened up a bit and industry was allowed, we were only 1.5% of those 252,000 units were working. I mean, less than 2,000 were working. How can a state function on that business? Now, since Government of India permitted industry to start, we have restarted, and my latest information is from Ludhiana, for instance, which has 95,000 units. 9,000 units have started up. So these sort of things we have to balance. But we'll have to now see as far as the health portion, because health is priority for me. Health, I can start up a factory, but I can't bring a Punjabi who's gone. I have to see his health first. And that Punjabi has to be, the doctors have to tell me how I can keep his health going.
We're talking about the economy, and you've already brought up the state that you face in terms of industry. As you said, 2 of your red districts are Ludhiana and Jalandhar, both of which are fairly substantial industrial hubs. If I heard you correctly, you said Ludhiana has 90,000 units, of which only 9,000 are functioning. I don't know the figures for Jalandhar, but I take it, therefore, very little economic activity, industrial activity is happening, particularly as you point out of the 250 industrial units in your state, 1.5% are functioning. So there's very little, if any, industrial activity happening in Punjab at the moment.
No, what the figures I gave you were the days when the industry was shut down. At that time, out of 252,000, there were only about 1.5% working. In Ludhiana, we had 95,000 units, out of which only 2,000 were working. Now, after opening up, it's gone to about 9,000 additional ones. So we have about 10, 11,000 which are now coming in. And hopefully day by day it's going to grow. But, suddenly if there's a spurt, now they are talking about a second wave in the corona on a global basis. A second wave is coming around or something. So God don't know what is going to happen. Nobody seems to know. It'll have to be taken on a day-to-day basis as to what really happens, and then we have to act and react to it.
Now, the second aspect of the economic situation in your state is that yours is a major wheat producing state, and this is the key Rabi harvesting season. Newspaper reports suggest that something like 70% of your wheat has been harvested. Are those reports accurate or are they exaggerated?
No. I've got 180 lakh tons which is coming from the crop this year, and we are expecting roughly about 130 lakh tons, which is going to come as the market wants surplus. Of that, as of today, last night's figures are here, but I'll read them out for you. We've got There they are. Uh, we we have 111 lakh tons have arrived in the market as of yesterday, and we are getting about 3.1 lakh tons coming daily. So I think we should be able to finish this off in the next 10 days or so. The crop will be over. See, it starts with, it's a very funny way. It starts with the eastern districts, Patiala, Sangrur, this side. And then the harvest carries on towards the west. And now we are in the western districts of Amritsar, Taran, Gurdaspur, and that sort of thing. But this side is virtually finished, and we are going that way. So hopefully we reach that figure of which we are targeting. But that means 26,000 crores worth of money going into farmers' pockets, and that's a very good thing for us, because that will open up the consumer market and various other things which we require.
If I understand you correctly, Chief Minister, you're saying two things there. One, that in fact the harvesting has happened fairly successfully and without any hindrance, and a very substantial part of the wheat crop has been harvested. And secondly, when you talked about the quantum that is coming in to towns for selling, I take it your mandis are also working pretty efficiently, that farmers are able to sell their produce, they are not storing it at home.
No, they are storing. They are storing what normally they don't store like that. It's only what they require for their own consumption. And that is 180 lakh tons is what the total production is, and 130 we are likely to get into the market. So 50 lakh tons is what they are storing for their own consumption. And that is the way it normally goes. And 130 lakh tons goes into the food corporations, go down and all. We produce about 40% of India's wheat. But this is the 40% that's going there. And where we have the crop has been good. We've had some bad days also in between, some thunderstorms and various other things, but by and large, as predicted, it's going to about 130.
You have therefore no problem as far as the Rabi harvesting is concerned. Let me look a little further down the road towards the Kharif crop. On the 4th of this month, you wrote to Amit Shah, the Home Minister, asking for special trains to transport some 6.4 lakh migrants who want to go home. Now, migrants, if they want to go home, have a right to go home. But the problem is, in their absence, you could have terrible problems with Kharif planting when paddy is a major crop and it's critically dependent upon labor. Are you worried about that? That at that moment of Kharif transplanting of paddy, you might be critically short of labor?
Well, let me tell you this, that we have our own labor, we have our below poverty line people who go in for this also. But let me add something on to what you are saying, is that we have 13 lakh migrant laborers in the state we've had, and out of which 10 lakh opted to go home, and we were arranging the trains for them. And now out of those out of that 10 lakhs, 35% who were sent. What we did was we used to on the SMS send them a message, you are on this train, you report at so and so time. 35% opted out. They didn't want to go home. So you have 30 lakhs plus 35% of this, that's nearly roughly 50% of the labor that wanted to go home hasn't gone home. Reason being that they've seen the industry opening and they see that paddy harvest is coming. So they're staying back for that.
Oh, this is good news. So in fact, that concern that you had on the 4th, which is a good 5 days ago, that 6.4 lakh migrants want to go back, that has substantially reduced. And as you said, 30% of 10 lakh now actually are quite happy to stay on. They see a future for themselves. They see jobs ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
The problem, however, is that you have a very dire situation in terms of your state finances. You said this a couple of days ago, that in April, revenue had fallen by 88%. And I imagine the situation could get worse because remittances that you normally receive, they don't come to you, but they go to families from the Middle East will also come down. And so the spending capacity of people in your state will come down. How dire a financial situation does Punjab face?
Well, this is happening. I mean, you won't be getting your money from the Punjabi settlers abroad who send it home regularly to their families if they are coming back. But having said this, I don't know whether it's all the Punjabis who are coming back, because in the last 1 month, the British embassy, the High Commission, has taken 18,000 Punjabis from Amritsar airport back to England who wanted to go there. So the British arranged aircraft, the British government, and taken them back there. So some are coming and some have gone back. So I hope they neutralize each other and we don't have any problem on that score. But that is, yes, a worry. But one is, of course, of these remittances that are coming. But then what is worse is that we are not getting our money which is due from the government of India. Now GST, I haven't got my GST for 4 months. If I don't get that, then I wrote to them umpteens of times, allowed me to open the liquor vends, because the second source of revenue for me is liquor. And I have got 6,200 crores coming from liquor in a year. Now they have allowed that, but why did they stop it? I mean, it's pointless. They stop something, then that's what I'm telling you. They are not going by what the states know are their problems. They are being told, we are being told all the time what to do. Now you stop it, and then 1 month later you open it. What's the purpose? Why did you stop it? I've lost each 6,200 divided by 12, and it's 500 crores a month I'm losing.
So you're saying that stopping liquor was a mistake. The central government should never have done it.
Mistake. Why aren't you giving my dues? Why aren't you giving my GST? Why aren't you giving my other dues? Why, these are sort of things, or when they add up to a lot. And you are not helping us in COVID in any case. We are not fighting in Punjab's battle, we are fighting India's battle. We are little states all over the place who are fighting the country's battle. Now, don't you think at this stage that we all require some funds to fight this battle with? I have to do testing. You already mentioned it. We don't have enough testing. We've got industry shut down. They need some assistance. I told the industry, I said, don't let your labor go. Feed them, look after them, house them, and keep them, because you'll need them in due course. Many of them did this. Now they need to start up money also. So all these things are there, but we have, till today, they may say what they want. We have not got even a rupee of help for this COVID fight.
As you said, you have an 88% shortfall in revenue in April. I know one of the reasons that you're suffering is that for 4 months you haven't been paid your GST dues. But have you also asked the government for permission to increase the state's borrowing? West Bengal wanted their borrowing raised from 3% to 5%. Have you made similar requests? And what response have you got?
No, nothing. We haven't been told yet. We said that we should raise the borrowing from 3% of GSDP to 4% and give us 1% increase for borrowing. They have not agreed on that also. We haven't had a yes on that. But talking about that 88%, figures are 3,600 crores is our due, which we normally get every time, when we are only getting 400 crores. So that's what it turns into in terms of money.
What you're saying to me, Chief Minister, is that even though you face a dire situation where 88% of your revenue in April simply didn't come, all the suggestions you're making to the central government to pay your GST dues, which have been owing for 4 months, or to increase your borrowing from 3 to 4%, you've had no response at all to any of these requests.
No, there are things that they allow, but not financial things. There are other issues like open your liquor. Okay, open your liquor, which you had shut down, or some other issue like that. Open your industry, but nothing which is cash in hand. So I can go and buy medicine, injections, or testing kits, or something like that for people. That I don't. You know how much testing we are doing. We are doing roughly about 50. We had only 3 places where we could test, which was the Amritsar Medical College, Patiala Medical College, and the PGI. Now we've extended that to, and from 1,500 we've gone to 2,500. Now 2,500 by 1st of June, we hope to go to 8,000 tests a day. But what is my population? 32 million. What is 8,000 tests a day in 32 million population? And what we hear on the globally when people, doctors and all talk everywhere, test again, test is the answer. But this in the whole of the country is not happening, not only us. And this question which you put to the government, to the Prime Minister, has been put by all chief ministers. I attended the first video conferencing which he had. He's had 4. But even the 4th one, all the chief ministers told him that we have no money, you give us money. But that's not coming.
Chief Minister, let's take a break at that point. When I come back, I want to talk to you about certain important pan-Indian national issues, where your view as the Chief Minister of Punjab is a very important one. But first, a message from our sponsor, Glenlivet.
Take a little trip with me, I'm gonna take you home.
Take a little history
Take a little
down this lane of memories.
down this lane.
So let's raise another glass for the glorious past and the friends we have become. Yeah, 'cause little did we know the good times come and go, but the best is yet to come.
Welcome back to a special interview for The Wire. My guest is the Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amarinder Singh. Chief Minister, let's now talk about issues of national concern where your voice as Chief Minister of Punjab would be of great interest to the audience. First, what is your opinion of the overall way in which the central government has handled this pandemic? Do you believe that during the lockdown they've succeeded in flattening the curve? Or do you believe, as many epidemiologists are saying, there will be serious spikes in June and July? We haven't flattened the curve as yet.
That I think so. I think this is, it's not us. We can say what we like. The fact is, what is the global trend? I mean, what is happening in America is disastrous, and other countries all over Europe, whether it's Canada or America or South America or wherever it may be, this is on the rise. Now, whether it's going to be July, some say August, some say September, we don't know. We are living in this COVID world on a day-to-day basis as to what can be done. And at the moment, we have, as you know, you quoted the figures, we have had some deaths, we have had 1,700 or so people going up, and how that is going to end. And this is us. I mean, states like Maharashtra are much worse. And even now, even with us, I don't know whether this testing is enough. We are doing a testing of 1,500 in a population of 32 million. So how do we know in some village or the other there are people sitting who are positive? We don't know.
So you're saying the worst is not behind us, it's very likely the worst in terms of new cases and unfortunately more deaths is ahead of us.
I think so. I think it is. Therefore, it's going to spike. And therefore, the doctors, whatever they say, whether it's some say July, some say August, some say September, well, whatever it is, it's certainly going to go up. I think that is not only my saying, that's not only for India. India can't be isolated out of the world. It's a global phenomenon and it's happening all over the world. It's happening in the East. Look at little Singapore, that's got absolutely inundated. Or look at Maldives. Maldives has it. And then you have all the big countries around you who got it. So why should India be in isolation? So we should prepare for the worst and prepare that and think that it's going to happen.
Now, the central government insists that India has not reached the stage of community transmission. However, with just short of 60,000 cases as of today, most people believe we entered community transmission many weeks ago. What's your view? Have we entered it earlier or are we still to enter it?
This is exactly what I was saying to you earlier, that we don't know whether this is internal growth of this disease or whether it's being brought in from outside. Now, yes, at the time of Nanded, it was brought out from outside. So it was at the time of Nizamuddin. So was it when the initial people came from Europe. But now, what is the situation? Is it people still coming in? There are people coming in still. I mean, for instance, there were 3,000 of our workers from Bathinda and Fazilka who had gone into Rajasthan to cut the mustard crop. 4,000 came back and now another 3,000 have come back. Now, with the first 4,010 tested positive. I don't know how many are being tested in this, that the reports come. But my point is this is happening all over the time. And there are more and more people who are wanting to come back. So when they come back, are they carriers or they're not carriers? Are there people who are with full-blown this COVID, or are they only carriers of the disease which can spread? So these are major things ahead of us. We can't sit here and say this. I think we have to hope that it doesn't happen, but prepare for the worst.
You're suggesting to me, if I'm understanding you correctly, that there are good reasons to believe that community transmission may have begun. We can't be certain, but good reasons to believe it could have begun.
Yes, I was reading a report also yesterday, written by some private doctors association which deals with COVID, in which they said that we have entered the third phase. So let us see whether they're correct or whether it's not correct. I can't tell.
Let me move to something else, Chief Minister. What is the sort of coordination between the central government and state governments, both in terms of handling the pandemic and in terms of exiting the lockdown? Mr. Modi speaks a lot about cooperative federalism. Is he practicing what he preaches?
Well, look, whenever we've written to the Prime Minister, he has taken a decision and sent it down, but the ministers and all have to back him up and do these sort of things. But as far as this issue of this pandemic is concerned, it was left to us. I'll tell you what I've done. I put up a 20-man committee of very eminent people, both industrialists, former administrators, and doctors and all that sort of thing, and to ask them to prepare a document for me as to how Punjab can exit from this lockdown. And I've received that. And we're going according to that, like this opening up of for 5 hours or 6 hours a day and all. Because they were saying that, sitting for 40 days in a room, the entire family in a tiny room, it has a psychological impact on the people and particularly the younger ones. So these things have to be done. So we are going according to that. So on lockdown issues, dates he has chosen. In fact, we were the ones who ordered a lockdown before the central government had done it. Kerala did the first, we did the second. And I was the first to do the curfew because I found that the Punjabis were not taking the lockdown seriously. So we had to enforce curfew to ensure that 144 was in place and people would stay at home. That is what we did. So they don't interfere in what we do in the lockdown, other than the fact that the Ministry of Home keeps sending advisories, all the time sending us advisories. And being a national disaster, every comma and full stop we have to accept. And therefore, I think that is where the government of India has gone wrong. They should have left it to the chief ministers who know their states better than them, and then just backed us up when we needed their support on any issue.
One more thing, Chief Minister, on the 7th, which is 2 days ago, you wrote to the Prime Minister to clearly articulate an exit strategy which defines the path of economic survival. What are the sort of things you're hoping will be part of that exit strategy?
Basically, industry has to work. So industry needs assistance. Industry needs to put off its borrowings and all. They should give them time. Instead of starting charging penal interest, they should give them another 6 months. For these sort of things, they should tell the Reserve Bank to do this, or the Ministry of Finance should take this issue up. That's one of them, to get industry moving. Because industry, if it doesn't produce, I can't get GST. If I don't get GST, I have no money. It comes to it's that sort of a circle that's developing. So whatever they are doing is, we have said that you please kindly ask your ministries to, in their individual capacities, to do what Punjab is asking to do. And not only Punjab, or other states are asking us to do. And that is the way, that's what we wanted the Prime Minister to do.
Now, Chief Minister, we're coming to the end of this interview. Let me ask you just a couple of questions about your party, Congress. Is it a handicap or disadvantage that at a time of national crisis, you don't have a full-time president, and Sonia Gandhi is fulfilling that role, which she has been doing for the last 8-9 months, in an interim capacity? Is that a disadvantage for you?
Well, the point of the matter is, this is something that, of course, the party has to decide. But as far as I'm concerned, Mrs. Gandhi is doing a great job. I have been a president in Punjab ever since she took over as president of the Congress party. She came in, and the following year she brought me in as president. So I have been associated with her for so long. She's an excellent manager, and it's excellent from that angle. Now, what the party decides, whether they want to change, I know she's also getting a bit tired. I mean, we are all getting on, and she may want somebody, may want Rahul to take over. I think Rahul would also make a good president. I don't know why people seem to always think that you hear all sorts of remarks. The fact of the matter is, if you sit with him, I'm sure you must have sat with him, I've sat with him on various issues and discuss. He goes in depth into these issues, and he talks sense, and I think that is exactly what you want. And then don't forget, 70% of India is under the age of 40, and why shouldn't a young person come up? So while Mrs. Gandhi is there, she's doing a great job. If she wants to hand over the baton, then let her hand over the baton. We will support both. I will support Mrs. Gandhi, and I will support, because Mrs. Gandhi and I have worked together now for how many years is it? I think 10 years or more. And I've seen her working. She's excellent. And Rahul I worked with for a short while. I find him very good too. I was the first to say that you shouldn't quit. I was in that Congress working committee meeting where I said, nothing doing, no, you shouldn't quit. You must stay on. We all lose battles. I lost my first 2 elections. So what? I didn't give up. I just carried on.
I want to ask you, you said a moment ago that Rahul would make a very good president. Yeah. Doubters say that can a man who's led the party to 2 resounding consecutive electoral defeats be the person to revive it? Are you not hoping against hope if you keep sticking with Rahul Gandhi as president?
Well, Karan, I lost my first 2 elections, I've just told you, but I'm Chief Minister of Punjab today. I was Chief Minister of Punjab once before. I've been a minister in 85, 86. I've been a chief minister from 2002 to 2007. Now from 17 on to whatever it is, 22. So these things happen. In politics, it's always an up and down game. I mean, Churchill led England to victory and he was defeated in the next election. These are things that happen.
My last question about Rahul Gandhi. What do you make of the conversations he's having with Abhijit Banerjee and Raghuram Rajan? Usually in a democracy, people who aspire to be Prime Minister are people who give solutions to the country at a time of crisis. But in these conversations, Rahul is asking the questions, someone else is giving the solutions. And people like T. N. Nainan point out that the traditional Guru-Shishya relationship has reversed to Rahul's disadvantage.
No, I don't. I think somebody, whoever's talking, these are totally political games going on. Fact of the matter is, when you are in position, it may be anything, but you ask if you take you should take you are open to taking advice from people. You're not genius. I'm not born a genius. I'm an ordinary person, and if anything particular topic comes up, I take advice. Why have I formed the Mount Take Ahluwalia committee to take us to see how Punjab's economy can be revived? I'm not an expert in economics. And similarly, why did I make a 20-member committee to see how we can be taken out of the lockdown? These are advices given to you. Now, what advice you choose to accept is up to you. And similar is the case with Rahul. Why can't he ask these people, these experts of the world, as to what should happen? And then he should, whatever he decides out of that, he can draw whatever he wants out of it.
All right, Chief Minister, that's a very clear answer. Thank you very much for this interview. Thank you very much for speaking so fully and candidly. Take care. Stay
Thank you.
safe.
And take care of yourself. Thank you.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.